This is the farming system study, and it stretches about 900 feet, and it's a corn and soybean rotation. And what we're trying to do here in this study is to look at some differences in tillage, two tillage comparisons, conventional till and no-till. Conventional till being chisel plow in the fall with a finishing operation in the spring, maybe disking or a field cultivator operation. And then right after harvest, we remove with a commercial rake and baler some of the residues in some of the plots. And we get about an 85 to 90% removal with commercial equipment. There's a custom baler that comes around and we kind of tell them where to take the stuff off. And what we're trying to do with these kind of combinations of treatments is to look at nutrient cycling, look at carbon in the soil, and try to make some decisions about how some of these production practices and combinations influence these parameters. We also, at the north end of the plots, have some carbon dioxide flux collars put in, and we measure flux in bare soil and in canopy materials every week. And we started that in the middle of May, right after planting, and we'll go probably through the first week of August or so. So those are some of the kinds of things we want to look at here. Hopefully down the road, what we're trying to get at is if corn stalks are removed on a regular basis, what does that do to the nutrient cycling? We can actually try to pencil that out and do some economics on that. But also, if in some future Farm Bill carbon credits where part of the program, we want to be able to give producers some numbers that way. Of course, with every Farm Bill that comes along, it's in or it's out, or it's in or it's out. It's just difficult, but as a researcher, I can afford to try to document some of these things. And then ultimately, we want to look at the economics of production too. And there's someone in the Ag Economics Department that's going to help us put this all together after everything is said and done. Now, this one site is part of a 3-site research. In that first map, you'll see that it's mostly in the eastern third of the state where corn and soybeans are prevalent. Southeast Farm, Volga, and Northeast Farm in Cottington County. And the first map you see is growing degree days in degrees Fahrenheit. And there's about a 700 growing degree day difference between the Southeast Farm and the Northeast Farm. So we have a good transect, we think, along this line. And the second map here you see is annual precipitation. And for the most part, we tried to keep things as equal as possible, but there's probably a 2 to 3 inch difference in annual precipitation between the Southeast Farm and the Northeast Farm. It's a little bit higher down here than it is up there. But all things being equal, that's not much of a difference. The growing degree day difference is the most important factor in this study. If you look on the back page, I've got the plot plan, and you can see how the tillage, that is CT, NT, is conventional tillage and no-till, how they're distributed in the plots, and then the darker rectangles are where the residue is removed for the corn. And so we have those kind of combinations. Right now we're standing between plot 204 and 205. There's no-till, 2 sets of no-till plots on either side. And so what we have noticed as we've gone through here is that in South Dakota, and in a lot of cases, in most of the years we've done tillage comparisons, we've seen early growth advantages in the conventional till plots. That is that 2 to 3 tillage sequence that we talked about earlier compared to no-till. That doesn't necessarily translate into a yield advantage because, as most of you know, in July sometime the faucet gets turned off, and that's where you start to see a little bit extra moisture in the no-till kind of make up for that in the grainy yields. So that's our study, and wanted to kind of give you an update. We don't have any data. Last year, you look foolish to report yields between 2 and 8 bushel for soybeans and 5 to 10 bushels for corn. So I'm pretty sure if this is a normal year, we're going to get something close to normal average yields, and by the tour time next year, I'll be able to report on some of our yields. Questions? It looks like you're hot enough to proceed. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.